Kia ora, welcome to Good Morning Gizzy. I'm Kayla Marie.
And I'm Stephanie Evans. In today's story, a new crime wave is sweeping the country in form of woolen graffiti. Scientists have invented an invisibility cloak. We help them find it. And the latest in the weather around the country. But first, a story that will turn your world upside down.
If you think the world is getting more and more topsy-turvy, it turns out you're right. Builders in Germany have built an upside-down house. And before you think they may have read the plans upside down, they did it on purpose. The wacky abode was built as a tourist attraction, as well as being comment on the state of the world. The house is 23 feet tall and rests on its roof and has steel beams in the attic. Inside the house there are beds screwed into the ceiling, upside down wardrobes and upside down kitchens and even upturned bathrooms. Though it's known if anyone has tried to have a bath in it or go in the toilet, normally a house like this would take 3 weeks to build. This one took over 4 months. Because workers kept getting confused by the strange angles of the walls, many tourists visiting the house complained of feeling sick and dizzy just after a few minutes. We now cross over to our reporter Charlie, who is inside the house. How are you feeling, Charlie?
Thanks, Kayla Marie. I'm here with the owner of the house, Stella Phillips, and I'm feeling excited. So what made you decide to build this upside-down house?
Well, I like to stand out, be different, and show my true colours to the world.
What comment do you feel the house makes about the state of the world?
Well, it's special, and weird and cool things can be interesting.
What are some challenges of living in a house where everything's upside down?
Well, everything. It's hard to eat, take a bath, sleep, but it is all fun.
What do you hope to achieve in the future?
Well, I hope to be able to design houses for other people and become a billionaire.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Charlie for Good Morning Gizzy News. Back to you, Steph and Kayla in the studio.
Thanks, Charlie. Even watching that makes me feel like vomiting. And now for a story that is truly out of sight. Look out, Harry Potter. The world of science is catching up to the world of magic. Scientists in Europe have created a 3D invisibility cloak, which can hide objects by bending light waves. It has been found that light can be controlled using special tiny crystals that makes objects disappear. So far, scientists have made small objects such as coins disappear, but hope that it wouldn't be too long before they are hiding cars, planes, and even people. People always have been dreaming of making themselves invisible. One top science says the possibilities are endless and we are very excited. However, since inventing the invisibility cloak, the scientists have been having trouble finding it. As soon as we put it down somewhere, it just disappears. The inventor of the cloak said, "It appears they are having trouble finding other things to look to, like their lunch, which they think may be underneath the cloak." What will this invention actually be used for? Hoping to see through the reasons behind the invisibility cloak, here is on the spot reporter Anna with more on this story.
Hello, I'm Anna, and with me is Dr. Bob, one of the scientists behind the invisibility cloak. Hi, Dr. Bob, and thanks for joining us today. What made you want to invent the invisibility cloak?
Well, I wanted to get a little creative and invent new things, and I discovered the invisibility cloak.
Sweet. Can you show me how the invisibility cloak works?
Sure. You see these beautiful flowers here? Flowers? No flowers. Me? No me. And best of all, half a face. beautifully.
Cool. What do you hope the cloak will be used for?
Solving crimes and scaring off all these criminals in the world.
Cool. And how long did it take you to make this cloak?
3 months and 24 hours.
Well, if you think about it, that's not very long. Well, that makes things very clear. Thanks for joining us. Back to you, Steph and Kayla in the studio.
Thanks, Anna. And now how's this for an interesting yarn? A new wave of graffiti crime is covering the country. Thanks to an underground gang known as the Midnight Knitters, these wall-waving criminals are covering trees, branches and lampposts with small jerseys and scarves under the cover of darkness. Police say the knitted activities of the gang are illegal because their woolly crimes are being done on public property. Without permission, the popularity of woolen graffiti is growing and more public objects are being wrapped up every night. But the problem is growing, police say, and warn that if the Midnight Knitters are caught soon, every tree, lamppost and traffic light in the country will be warmly dressed against the cold. The problem is spinning out of control. They are close-knitting groups of dyed-in-the-wool criminals. We are stitching together a case, but it's not seamless. There is no real pattern to the crime. As police spokesman said today, so far the criminal knitters have escaped arrest and continue to pull the wool over the eyes of both the public and the police. We now go to the secret location with our investigative reporter Bob Farewell, who has an exclusive interview with one of the Midnight Knitters gangs.
Thanks, Kayla. I'm Bob, and joining me in this top secret location is a member of the Midnight Knitters gang. Hello, Needles, and thanks for joining us. What led you into the dark underworld of knitted graffiti?
Well, my grandma taught me how to knit.
Do you see yourself as a criminal?
No,
Why not?
I don't see anything illegal about keeping things warm. How would the post feel about being cold at night?
Apart from trees, lampposts, and traffic lights, what else would you like to graffiti with your woolens?
Cats and bunnies.
How long have you been in the Midnight Knitters?
Well, I started when I was 203. Oh, no. 2009. I'm not that old.
Thanks for your time, Needles of the Midnight Knitters gang. We now go over to Tina Sparkle with the weather update.
Thank you, Bob, and good evening, New Zealand. Let's have a look at tomorrow's weather, starting in the far North Island in Kaitaia. Look out for some pretty flash flooding and raindrops as big as your head. If you're going outside, wear a hat. Moving down to Auckland, there'll be a mix of fair conditions and unfair conditions, but those are the conditions and you'll just have to deal with them. There will be no weather for the Bay of Plenty. It is taking a short holiday but is expected to be back for the weekend. In Napier and Hastings, there will be the weather will sometimes be changeable and sometimes not. We have really no idea what's going to happen there. In the Taranaki, mild depression brings with a very dull day with no highlights at all. It will be over forecast and a gloomy morning, but things should cheer up by the evening, so don't worry, everything will be fine. In Wellington, we have another capital day. There will be no wind at all, and the conditions will be so pleasant they'll actually be extreme. In the top of the South Island, Kokoda can expect to have a good day, meeting friends for lunch, going for a swim, reading the newspapers, but try to stay indoors as the weather will be just terrible. A real mix for Christchurch, which will have some unreasonable rainfall, some sensible wind and moderate thunderstorms, and also very angry snow. And lower South Island in Dunedin, cold and unfriendly until late morning. Then the sun will pop over to visit. Everyone likes the sun, and that's all from me. Remember, if it's raining outside, that's all the weather for you. Good night, New Zealand. Now back to the news desk with Kayla and Stephanie.
Thanks, Tina Sparkles. Well, that's all we have time for. We hope you've enjoyed this evening's broadcast.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time again. Until then,
I'm Kayla Murray.
and I'm Stephanie Evans for Good Morning Gizzy. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And